Does it seem strange to you that Joseph Smith used the same seer stone to look for gold and then later used it to translate the Book of Mormon?
Oh, of course it does, Kristen. Because let's be honest, Joseph Smith was deep into money digging, trying to con his neighbors. And yet we're supposed to believe that he went from that to translating ancient scriptures written in Reformed Egyptian? Please. And the gold Bible? Sure, let's all buy into that magical find. Listen to me, he didn't stumble across some divinely inspired stone. He literally found it while digging a well at his neighbor's house and decided to borrow it. And by borrow, I just mean steal. So really, is this how the creator of the universe sets things up? By encouraging a con artist with no real skills? This is the divine pattern of revelation? Really?
If so, you are not alone, and here are 2 facts that have helped me understand this topic better.
Oh, goody. I can already tell that I'm going to be dazzled by some well-reasoned facts here. I'm waiting with bated breath for a deep dive into the facts. You know, solid evidence. I'm just sure that I'm not going to hear another round of spinning tall tales to make a con artist look like a prophet. Let's see what you got, Sister Smith. I'm just sure we're about to hear some facts, right?
God allowed Joseph to use the seer stone in the Book of Mormon translation, which seems to mean that he didn't disapprove of Joseph's use of it in the past for other purposes.
Hello? That's not a fact? That's just an assertion, bold and baseless, like literally everything else that you've said. So let me see if I've got this straight. God let Joseph Smith use a seer stone to rip off people for treasure hunting, but somehow didn't mind when Joseph Smith was caught and had to go to court for being a disorderly person and a fraudster? You seriously want us to believe that the Almighty turned a blind eye to that? Or was God also in on this con? Here we got a guy running around upstate New York pretending to be some mystical treasure seeker and making people pay him to find treasure, and we're supposed to believe that the Lord is cool with all of that? That seems really godly, doesn't it? Get real. What kind of God would endorse a scam like that?
Second, Joseph's use of seer stones helped prepare him for the task of translating the gold plates. As evidenced by Oliver Cowdery's struggle to translate when he tried it.
Again, not facts, just merely spin. So you're trying to tell me that the Almighty was like, yep, I'm gonna let this guy waste his time with failed treasure hunts, conning people out of their money, but somehow this is divine preparation for the translation of the Book of Mormon? Were there no other methods to prepare Joseph Smith for this divinely ordained task? What, God couldn't come up with a better training plan than letting Joseph Smith con his neighbors? And here's the entire point. If Joseph couldn't find any lost objects or treasure with his stone in the hat while he was being prepared, what does that say about your God? Or Joseph, for that matter? Perhaps the whole thing is just a little less divine and a lot more fraudulent.
Second, Joseph's use of seer stones helped prepare him for the task of translating the gold plates. It was not an easy task.
Oh, absolutely. Pretending to find treasure and stealing people's money is no easy feat. It's a tough racket, especially when you're on the brink of being arrested for fraud. Luckily for our hero, Joseph Smith, he found a way to transition from treasure hunting scams into golden plate scams. Isn't that convenient? Because when one scam doesn't work, well, you just invent a whole new one. And in America, you can pretty much make up anything and call it divine, and suddenly you're above the law. Brilliant. You know, if Joseph Smith had just stayed on his original track, maybe he would have had a nice prison sentence to show for all of it, instead of a new religion.
But Joseph's years of using a seer stone seem to have been of benefit to him in more easily understanding how to translate the Book of Mormon.
And still, all we're hearing is more assertions. No facts, and certainly no evidence. But sure, let's pretend that Joseph Smith's peepstones were somehow magical enough to allow him to translate the Book of Mormon, despite the fact that, according to him, he was divinely provided with actual translation tools like the breastplate and spectacles. If those mystical instruments were the real deal, why was Joseph Smith pretending to be a treasure seeker using his neighbor's well's stone? If the breastplates and original spectacles were so powerful and divinely prepared from time immemorial, why didn't he use them to translate the Book of Mormon? Oh, I forgot, those original implements didn't work to find buried treasure, did they? Man, this is awfully convenient.
So while Joseph did use his seer stone to search for gold prior to translating the Book of Mormon, we also know that God approved of its use in the translation and that it was therefore likely not disapproved of by God.
No, actually, we don't know that. What you believe to be true and what is factual are two totally different things. Just because you feel that Joseph Smith's magical stones had divine backing doesn't make it so. You don't just get to wave the magic wand of faith and turn it into evidence. There's a big difference between merely asserting something and proving it. So please don't mistake your feelings for reality.
Now, if you want a free PDF that answers frequently asked questions about seer stones in kid-appropriate terminology, comment guide below.
Time out. Now we're going to teach this nonsense to kids? Because sure, teaching them about Joseph Smith's illegal treasure digging and the fact that he repeatedly ripped people off, well, that's a great moral lesson for children. We should definitely encourage them to think that pretending to find lost treasure for money is just an inspired step on the way to becoming a prophet. That'll teach them all sorts of wholesome value, like dishonesty and defrauding others. Absolutely shameful. How about this? Instead of making excuses for Joseph Smith's shady practices, how about we teach kids that ripping people off for money is wrong, no matter how religious your grift might be?